Coming to you live from the Hellmouth. It's the Popular Cinema Podcast. I'm your co-host Payne,
And I'm Bill. And just
and
because you're
welcome,
not singing doesn't mean you can't pick up the energy level. Let's go, Grandpa. Wrap it up.
welcome to episode 56. I was going with some sort of smoothness. I was trying to be like Luther Vandross or something.
It sounds boring. You need a little bit of pep in that voice. Pep it up.
How about Ruben Studdard from American Idol?
Who? What?
The Velvet Teddy Bear. I think his name was Ruben something.
Really? Okay.
You
Ruben,
ever
okay.
watched American Idol?
No. No. I am an American Idol. I don't need to watch that shit.
Oh, you sound like you're very enthusiastic today.
Well, you know, it is birthday weekend, so I've been having myself just a luscious time.
Huh. Did you get anything nice for your birthday?
As a matter of fact, I did. I got the iPhone X for X-Men. And now I'm like Colossus over here in this mofo.
Is the Apple product been everything you wanted it to be so far?
You know, it's lovely. There are some lovely things about it. I don't know if the hype is as much as it really needed to be. I mean, it's not like it's cooking me breakfast. It does have a lovely new screen that I do find to be brighter and more. What do I want to say? The color seems to pop more than on my old phone. So that's always appreciated because, you know, I'm really down with the visuals. The other cool thing about it is the Face ID, which is pretty neat to not have to worry about pressing that home button. It's a little weird trying to get used to a phone without a home button for a while. But, you know, it's much easier, I think, to use Facial ID than always having to punch in your damn passcode, which is a pain in my ass.
So what do you mean facial ID? You put the phone up to your face?
And it unlocks using the algorithm that it remembers when you first log in, yeah.
Now, wait a second. Now, what if I'm laying around and I just kind of like just typing into my phone, like my phone's next to my pillow, and I can see it, but it's not necessarily at my face is on an angle. Do you have to put it up to your face? Can you?
No, it'll ask you for the passcode, which is a pain in the ass.
Okay. Is it instantaneous? Is there some sort of lag?
No, it's instantaneous. It does it in the dark. I've done it in the tub, in the bathroom, bright light outside. It seems to know my face pretty fucking well.
Is it waterproof?
No, I don't. I think it's some water, like water. You know, it's not waterproof, but it's like if you drop it, like pull it out really quickly. It's water resistant. That's what I want to say.
Okay. Is there any new trick that it does that would require me to go out there and upgrade and pay an extra like $20 for it?
Well, knowing how you are, I was thinking about this. I don't know if there's enough bells and whistles that'll make it worth your while, because you're not really down with like the minutia of the visual stuff that, you know, I get into. So I could tell the difference right away with the screen. I don't know if you would be able to. I mean, you do watch, or until you got your view, you did watch standard def on a high def TV.
So you're just
So
not gonna let that live down, huh?
I'm not,
I mean-
because I find it just absolutely horrendous. But so for that feature, I don't know. I think you'd like the Face ID. I like the Q wireless charging feature, which is pretty cool. Although so far, it does seem to be slower at charging wirelessly than it does wiredly for me. So I don't know if I'm in love with that feature yet. I think once they supposedly are going to increase the wireless charging with a future operating system update, I would like to see it be a little speedier.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But so far, so good.
You know,
Daddy likey.
it's something like I would like to think about getting a bill, but I'm trying to cut down all my costs, as you're aware. I'm slashing and cutting all over the place.
I
So
understand.
I can't be cutting down on one thing and then adding another thing. I'm just still in the same place.
Well, I mean, listen. It depends on how you feel about your phone. You really use your phone as much as I do because you use your tablet more. So I don't, like I said, I don't know if it would really make that much of a difference to you. For me, my phone is my everything.
what are you doing on your phone that I'm not doing on my phone? I'm doing the same thing you're doing.
Well,
I can
no,
tell you what
but you
I
use
get
it.
up in the morning, I look at my sports app, I play Words with Friends, I do some Clash Royale, I look at the bank accounts to make sure the money's there. I check some news, CNN, MSN, USA Today, then I go to some sort of Twitter. I play some Candy Crush throughout the day. I check my emails, work and personal. And occasionally I go to Groupon or Living Social on my apps to look at. And then if I need a document, I go to my Dropbox. What else is there to do that you do
Well, I
differently?
thought you did most of that with your tablet because every time I'm over there, it seems like your tablet is more in
Oh
use than
yeah.
your
Well,
phone.
I like the size of my tablet. It's larger. It's.
Well, I understand some things, you know, need to be larger, but for me, this, I mean, I like the compactness of the phone. The tablet to me just feels a little bit like I'm walking around with like um, one of those like stone tablets from Jesus. Jesus had, the Ten Commandments, those things. It feels like I'm
Mhm.
walking around with like some big cumbersome thing, stone tablet thing. It feels almost, I don't know. It doesn't feel right. My phone to me feels right.
I know you're one step away from Wally and some sort of pod, huh? The
Wow.
tablet's just too heavy for your delicate hands and wrists. You're going to
Right.
develop
I
carpal
don't.
tunnel
Yes, I do feel
carrying
like that.
around.
Right. I do feel like it's a bit much for me to be having to carry around that big old brick of a thing. Even though it's an Air 2, or was till I sold it because I didn't like it. Now I have a Samsung Galaxy Tab, which is fine. I don't love it either. But if you try to take my phone, I'm going to bite you like a 5-year-old boy.
Mm. Bill, I now have Spectrum as we speak. Today we are being connected through Charter Communications, aka Spectrum.
Okay.
We'll see how this goes. I'm getting high reception. I've got
Have you
2G.
done a speed test to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for?
No, I have not done a speed test.
You can get one of those apps on your phone or tablet or stone device, whatever you're using over there, um, and it'll test the quickness of your Wi-Fi connection if you want.
Yeah. So what do I do if I don't feel like I'm getting my MBSs? I call them up on the phone and say, "You guys need to start pumping some more megabytes into my system."
Correct.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we'll see here. I'm kind of like I don't
Well,
know if I'm on pins and needles, but I'm looking at all the buttons and everything else up here on my Star Trek console just to see how everything's going.
so before when we had um, Time Warner, our package before they changed to Spectrum, like the fastest internet speed they gave us, which was called Turbo, which we paid like extra for, was only like 50 MBS or MPS, whatever you call it. So when they changed my package with Spectrum, now they sent us this letter like the lowest internet speed they have for my package is 100 megabytes or whatever. So when I did the speed test, when the guy came out and put my new box in, I was like, it's like off the chart of the speed test. It's like the flash of internet speeds over
You
here.
know what? Listen, I've got 30 MBSs going on over here.
Oh,
Okay.
30. Why don't you just do a 14 4K dial up modem?
There's my nephew's listening to this right now, and he goes, "I don't know what they're talking about."
Exactly. Oh,
But
those poor
listen,
children.
what do you need 100 MBSs for? I mean, this is fine. I'm connecting everything. It seems to be working fine when I go on the internet or play my games. There's no lag. There's no buffering on my movies. What are you doing with 100? If you told me you were getting 100, I would assume you're doing some nefarious shit over there. Like you're copying movies and pumping them out. You're doing something that
When
accuses our
you
grand.
have a 4K television, it takes bigger bandwidth to download something in higher quality, which also takes, up more, internet speed algorithms, whatever you call those things. So, the faster your connection, the more advantage of the 4K picture you'll be able to take advantage of.
I hear you go. So here you go. You're going with the one percenter again. I'm a 4K yoner, so I require high speed and higher bandwidth. in order to get the
Well,
quality of
it
product.
would be like driving a Ferrari in first gear if I didn't have a fast enough internet speed to keep up with the television resolution that my TV can provide. Right?
I see. I guess so. You know what? I don't have a 4K, so I didn't think so. I think it was
Well, you
satisfactory.
probably don't need the extra bandwidth then. I mean, 1080p should be sufficient for 30 megabytes per
But once
second.
I upgrade to 4K, then the price that I'm paying now is going to double, maybe
It doesn't
triple.
necessarily have to. You can still use the speed that you're using. It won't take advantage of the full capabilities of your 4K television, but you're not really picky with that kind of stuff.
I guess so. I mean, if I had a Ferrari, I probably wouldn't go over 60 miles per hour anyway.
There
You
you
know.
go.
No, that's interesting. But I'm very happy though. I've took all my boxes back. I've got rid of the Uverse. I'm now on my Spectrum. I talked to a few people, by the way, in my little circle, cutting the friends, and they're thinking about cutting the cords, and no names mentioned. But they're paying upwards over to 250. They were like you. Are you still paying what you're paying?
We're paying 200 now. We were paying 273, and we cut off the extra Wi-Fi that they were charging me double for that we didn't need.
Yeah. So are you going to think about going further down the cutting some more services or no?
No, we're cut to the bone over here. Okay,
That's,
you can't go any
no,
lower and still call this house an entertainment mecca. So,
I feel like I need to get you a generator for your house just in case there's some sort of like power outage. You
oh,
can
we
just
have
crank
one.
that up.
We have.
Oh, you're so Chris is already ready for the doomsday prepping, huh? He's got it
Yes.
all.
Yes, because one time, like 3 or 4 years ago, the power in our little ancient neighborhood went out for like 4 days, and I had to go to work and sleep on the floor like some kind of animal because they had power and I didn't. And I told my husband at that point, well, at the time he wasn't my husband, I said, I'm not doing this again. And so he went out and bought a generator.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's good. Maybe I should get one of those.
Eh,
All right.
you know what else you could do that probably be more beneficial to you than the generator? Get a
What's that?
box of matches.
For those of you watching and listening, you're referring to a scene in Goodfellas where they sit there and they stick, what is it, liquid paper towels and gas, put it all in the rafters of the house, and then set it aflame. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, I'm not specifically telling you over the FCC regulated airwaves that arson might be the way out of your money pit, but I'm just saying, things happen. Perhaps Goodies wants to make himself a bonfire because he's so fucking cold upstairs in that house. And oops, there it went.
Yeah. Well, Bill, I was up here trying to get the sound effects and everything else working, but alas, I've been hitting my head over it. But what I was able to do during some of my time today was I came up with some sort of like some lists. I actually just looked at some things. We have a lot to discuss.
Well, we've been gone for a couple of weeks, so the world has been falling apart as usual. But now it's sort of eking its way into my Hollywood news feeds, which was my bastion of peace and harmony from the actual real world news, which is now just trying to really tempt me into just cutting off the fucking internet feed into my brain, period. But I hold out hope. I started blocking where I've got so tired of the certain words about certain situations that are happening in Hollywood. I went to my Twitter and started blocking words like, now I never expected I'd have to block words like molested, child abuse, uh, what's the other? Harassment, sexual. These words didn't really think that, I didn't really think they were going to be heavily involved in my timeline, but here we are.
It's. I don't know if I say witch hunt, it implies that somehow the people are being unfairly hunted down. I don't want to use that word, but it is sort of similar. But I see that Gal Gadot, is that fake news? Said that she doesn't want to work on Wonder Woman 2 if Brett Ratner, one of the producers of the first Wonder Woman movie, is still on board.
I don't know. For somebody that doesn't have a firm grasp on the English language, this bitch really seems to be feeling her oats after Wonder Woman a little bit. If you really want to get down to it. I mean, I understand the woman doesn't like the guy and she feels like he's a bad person, but I don't know if really the Warner Brothers like water tower is built on the house that Wonder Woman made yet. So maybe she should just give it a couple more years before she starts making demands. If the story's true, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw there was something, an article that said Warner Brothers, they commented and said that's not exactly what was said. Um, I don't have the site in front of me, but you can't be making a Wonder Woman 2 movie about empowerment and women rights and then have a guy that's producing it being accused of molesting 6 women, right? I mean, that's kind of wrong.
I mean,
Allegedly.
was he a producer on Wonder Woman 1, or does he just work for the studio in some other capacity that has nothing to do with her movie?
I don't know. This is an interesting dilemma that these things pop up here because half these people haven't been really, what's the word? They haven't been charged, convicted, sued. There's just been allegations.
Well, as we've discussed, the court of public opinion doesn't require evidence like the real courts do. So, in a world where image is everything, these kind of charges seem to be pretty damaging to the viability of a person's career.
So, okay, so let me get this straight. You're DC now, all right?
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, and you're big star of the biggest origin superhero film ever, and getting all this cred of putting this universe on track, comes out and says, listen, I know I'm the shiznit right now, and we're going to be doing a Wonder Woman 2, and everybody's clamoring for it, and everybody loves the first one, but I'm not sure I'm going to be working with it unless you change this crew. Do you cater to her needs, or do you try to massage it? What do you do? Is Brett Ratner essential to this whole thing? Not a big deal? What
I
do you
don't
do?
think Brett Ratner's. I mean, I don't. I'm not familiar with most of the stuff he's done since the last movie I cared about that he did, which was over 10 years ago.
Sure.
So, um, I think to be fair to all parties involved, if he's somehow working for the company, I assume that they must find some value in his work. I would want there to be a investigation, independent investigation by the studio to verify the veracity of these claims, and then I would suggest, once the evidence from that investigation comes out, then they would proceed with whatever they need to do as far as making it right with her. But until then, I think they kind of owe everyone else the benefit of the doubt, because isn't that the way it's supposed to go? But again, in Hollywood, with the image being everything, it's not the same rules as the rest of the world. So, I don't know.
Huh. You see that Louis C.K. Well, we already know what's going
We
on
can't
with him.
keep, we're not going to talk about all of this, right? Because it's all so depressing.
Oh, no, but there's a point here I'm going with it. Spare me. We're not going to run down the list. We'll be here all day, spending 2 hours on this.
Yeah, we'll just call it the Pervcast.
But anyway, did you see The Secret Life of Pets? I mean, it's animated.
I did not. Because,
Well, he was the
I've
voice
gone.
of Max, the Jack Russell Terrier. The movie made like $368 million domestically, $874 million worldwide. Well, obviously, in light of these allegations, which he's copped to, they're dropping him from The Secret Life of Pets 2.
Right.
They're going to have to replace him and get another voice actor. Is this a big deal or not when it comes to animation? You have to replace the voices.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it's something that, they have to refilm everything for. I mean, and even if they do, it's some guy in front of a microphone. So I don't think it's all that hard.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, that's kind of sucks. If you got used to. Well, what happens with Kevin Spacey? What would you do with Kevin Spacey here? For the people like me who watch House of Cards and are disappointed in the fact that season 6 or season 5, season 6 is up in the air to a degree, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. Whether or not they're just going to kill him off screen, will they replace him? Will they just write him out? maybe just cancel the whole series at this point and be done with it. What do you do when one of your guys goes rogue?
Well, I mean, it seems like the only option they have right now. I mean, I would think in order to keep the show going, maybe they could recast the part rather than just canceling the whole show. I mean, I don't know why you have to fire 200 people because some guy did some shitty ass stuff. Okay, maybe he doesn't get involved with the show anymore, but there are other actors who could play the part of Kevin Spacey's role in that show, I'm sure. So I guess I would say recast would probably be the best option, but I think you're overreacting.
So
Maybe.
would you agree with Are you saying this because it's a TV series? Would you recast somebody for Princess Leia? Is that some sort of
Well, no, but I hardly think that Kevin Spacey, who's been playing this part since what 2 or 3 seasons ago, is on the same iconic cultural level of recognition that Carrie Fisher is in the role of Princess Leia. That's been going on for 40 years. I think it's different.
Okay. You always band around this iconic status, whether it's superheroes or actors sometimes.
An icon is an icon. I don't think Kevin Spacey's iconic in that TV show yet. It hasn't been enough time for him to be that seeped into the main popular culture of the world. And there's a lot of people who don't get Netflix. Hard to believe, but
he plays that character. For the people that watch the show, he's essential to it.
I'm sure. But you know what else is essential? Making sure everyone else on set doesn't get touchy-feely felt up while they're trying to sit and have their coffee before they go on set that day. So maybe Kevin Spacey should have thought of all of that before, he decided to start diddling everyone involved in the show. I don't know. Again, he's not been convicted of any crimes, and to my knowledge, he has not confessed. So, court of public opinion.
There was this article that showed up. I didn't get a chance to send it to you, but Kevin Spacey was going to be in a movie called All the Money in the World by Ridley Scott.
Sure.
And now he's being replaced by Christopher Plummer.
Sure.
And to film these extra scenes or try to do some green screen, they said something like it's going to probably cost like an extra $10 million. Not to mention it's going to cost about $250,000 to $400,000 to pay to Christopher Plummer to come in. It was fascinating only in the sense that they were talking about like insurance when certain people die or get injured on the set, that insurance would kick in, but there wasn't really any insurance in place for when people start like having molestation charges and sexual assault charges.
I bet there will be now.
But
I bet the underwriters in Hollywood are just shitting themselves at the moment.
But there is something that came up. I can't find it, unfortunately, here, and I hate to have to click around with all this general equipment here, but on reality TV, apparently there's some clauses out there for when they're doing these shows, if like these people later on get arrested or some other dastardly shit come out. There's something I think it might be called like disgrace insurance. Like if they can't actually start showing the footage or the episodes because their reality show actor has disgraced them and done some shit. There's a way.
What do you have to do to be disgraced from a reality show? One would wonder. Exactly how low does a human have to sink?
Did we not just watch Bachelor in Paradise? Well, I'm sorry.
I don't watch that crap.
Not watch Bachelor in Paradise, but there's some sort of sexual assault in the pool. They had to quote shut everything down.
Yeah, but didn't they come back and say there was nothing?
Oh yeah, after that, then they fire back it up. But what happens if it did? Then all of a sudden they're in that quandary of, do we go forward with this? Do we not go forward? Blah blah blah. But I'm just pointing out that there's some insurance out there for disgrace and insult.
Well, if there wasn't before, I'm sure with everything that's popping off now that there will be now.
What's going to happen at the awards? Will there be your Saturn or Academy Awards? Is there going to be anybody left to give an award, or can Kevin Spacey still win an award?
No, Kevin Spacey's career is over, Jack. It's over.
So wait, I'm not going to be judged on my talent?
No one is going to let you in the room anymore. You're not going to have anything to, I would suggest, going back to theater. I don't know. No one's going to hire him. It's like
No.
somebody hiring Sandusky to be a coach somewhere. No one's going to do that. No one's going to hire you. It's
Welcome
over.
to your new Boy Scout troop headmaster.
Right.
No, wait a second. Well, I mean, the sky is falling here. There's a lot of allegations for a lot of people out there. Is this going to put a damper on the award show when it comes time?
Hollywood is very good at, putting on a smiley face when things aren't necessarily smiley behind the scenes. So I would expect that they will try to root out as much sort of like riffraff as possible, but the show will go on. I mean, that's the motto, right?
Right. The show will go on. I mean, I like that.
Until they find out Octavia Spencer has been diddling some preschooler, I think there'll be an Academy Award show. I think that actually might break down all of Hollywood's infrastructure. Something like that comes out, I don't know if there's a future.
Actually, I think that's what I'm gonna call this episode. The show will go on. What do you
Right.
think of that?
I like it.
that? Yeah, it comes from a. Anyway, let's move on. I got some quick hitters for you.
Okay.
Well, see, I give some of these things I'm giving because I know it'll hit you right in the cockles. It'll hit you right in your bowels, warm up your heart and stomach. These are the things that are like softballs for you that get you all happy. I could sit there and start talking about some sort of like stock prices over in Russia regarding like charter communications, and then you're gonna be like this. Don't care.
Right.
But I have some things that you do care about.
Okay. All right.
So M. Night has finished filming Glass in 25 days. What?
That's awfully quick. I didn't know that they were finishing filming. I did not read that somewhere yet. But
Yeah, he sent out a tweet. What the fuck?
when was the tweet sent out? Today?
I don't know when it's out, Bill. I write down my notes. Listen, I've got a lot of buttons pushing over here. I've got dogs. Things are going off. I'm trying to sand drywall. I don't have time to put down, quote, notes.
Well, I missed the
expect you to
tweet.
be prepared, especially when it comes to M. Night. You should have a direct pipeline into his Twitter.
I missed the tweet. I do have him on my Twitter, so maybe I just haven't read that far down yet. I don't know.
25 days.
That's awfully quick.
Glass.
That's awfully snappy. I have seen screen caps of a shirtless James McAvoy running around the streets, and I've seen pictures of Samuel L. Jackson in the Elijah Price costume in his chair with the Elijah Price hair. But that's all I've seen. I didn't know that they were this close to wrapping. So,
Yeah, he said he was, quote, exhausted and excited.
that was actually, 25 days is really short.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's a lot of work, I would imagine. When I saw 25 days, this is the thing about it. When I saw 25 days, I said to myself, is that an important number? Is that supposed to be indicative that this is unusual, or what's the normal shooting thing? Like, there was nothing I really had it to compare.
Well, 25 days is, I can tell you, for a movie of this size. I mean, they've been filming Justice League, which seems like 7 fucking years.
Well, when you say movie of this size, let's be quite honest here. Let's not act like Split was shot with some sort of like $100 million budget here.
No.
Start to go off on the rails, acting like somehow he's filming like Jupiter Ascending over here.
No, but one would hope that they're going to film some kind of exciting climax action scene between David Dunn and the Beast, or Elijah, or the young girl that might have unbreakable powers too, for all we know.
This doesn't involve ray bolts shooting out of your eyeballs. I mean, they've gotten more money as a result of the success of Split. But I don't know if that entails that there's some sort of like flying creature and other things, maybe like location shooting. But okay.
All I'm saying is I hope that the final battle between the good and the evil is exciting visually and, feels like a good payoff to this, what now has become a 17-year journey of these characters. So.
Well, you should be happy. This is the thing you always talk about, Melissa laughs, that these people got all their shit on film. It's all there. So now they can cut it. So they can go ahead and continue to...
Well, and in fact, the movie doesn't come out until January of 2019. So they have an entire year's worth of time to do post-production on this movie, which seems, for a movie that was only filmed in 25 days, seems like a long time. I don't know why they would need that long.
That's a lot. Any chance they'll bump up the date?
I don't think so. I mean, they've announced the date months ago. Like before they even announced, all the cast, they announced the date. I mean, they announced the date like probably in the spring of this year. So it's kind of locked, I would think. But I don't know. Maybe they'll move it up. But with all these movies coming out, these big blockbusters coming out almost weekend after weekend now, it becomes very sort of dangerous to move your shit.
Okay. With success always breeds imitation, Bill. So, in light of the success of Game of Thrones, it looks like Amazon's going to be having Lord of the Rings TV series coming to it.
Yeah, I don't know if I need this in my life. I don't know.
Why not? It's Lord of the
Because
Rings.
it's been done, and it's been done very well, and I don't know if I need it to be redone. This is something that it's almost like saying Star Wars is getting rebooted. I don't know if I love the idea.
We're gonna get the Star Wars. Don't you worry. Hold on. Hold up a second. What do you mean redone? This is like exploring. Maybe it's exploring. Well, we don't really know yet, but maybe it might be exploring another aspect of Middle Earth. I mean,
listen. If it's not the same story of the Lord of the Rings that we've already seen, then that would make it different for me. But if they're just remaking a movie that came out in 2001 that I find to be a definitive version of filmmaking, I don't know if it's for me that I really need that.
Well, let's stop the press. You're absolutely right. Now, if we're going to be doing a TV version of the Two Towers, then you can color me out. I don't need to see that. But if we're doing some sort of other aspect of this type of world,
well, I don't know. There's only 3 books. I mean, of the Lord of the Rings. If you want to go through the Hobbit, there's only 4 books.
Yeah. So what? We can't have somebody come in and create some sort of new storyline. I mean, it's like it can fail. I mean, it could be. Do we have to have it written by Tolkien in order to accept it if it's actually a good story?
No. However, those characters have a very specific beginning point and end point because they were written, in books that exist. I don't know that some other person can come along and write in a Tolkien-esque voice about other characters that exist in Middle Earth, and that the series is not going to revolve around characters I already know, which sort of makes me not look forward to it even more.
I don't know why
I just don't
read the books. I don't know why you're acting like that.
Acting like what?
You're acting like you read the books and you know these characters intimately.
No,
they
but I
had a new character in that Lord. What was it? The Hobbit movies? Who's the character that plays the Wasp? What's her name?
The Wasp. Oh, you're talking about Thranduil? Tauriel.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What's her name?
Evangeline Lilly.
Yes, there you go. She wasn't in the books. They created her for the TV, the movies, and you enjoyed that shit. You didn't sit there and be like, "Oh, this is not authentic." So you accepted that. Why can't you accept a whole new storyline with new characters?
Because they were connected to characters whose stories were in the book or were in the previous movie trilogy, if you want to go with that. Therefore, the whole entire Hobbit trilogy was based around Bilbo's adventures, which we knew Bilbo from The Lord of the Rings. It's not based on some kind of like wood elf that was, wandering across the plains and got lost and ends up in some kind of cave and has nothing to do with the ring or the freaking, Hobbit story. So
this is so good. I feel like this is some sort of like Matlock moment where I'm setting you up. You're walking right into my trap. You're walking right into it.
How am I walking into your trap?
Oh, no.
Because you're going to talk about Star Wars and how they're doing a completely different trilogy with Rian Johnson. And I'll tell you something else. I feel the same way about that.
Oh, okay. We'll get there. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good. You know what? I was just going to make sure there's some consistency because all of a sudden now you just sit there and change and be like, well, this is different. This is the iconic universe. It transcends all things around. So,
no,
okay.
I don't necessarily know if I need a Star Wars trilogy based on
we'll
some
get there.
No.
But we're not going to go there yet.
Okay.
So we're fine. I agree with. Well, I actually don't agree. I think I'm. Or are you open-minded to it if it's not connected to any of the characters?
Does it get me juiced about this project happening at all? No, I'm not. I'm not juiced about it. It's not how I feel.
I think I'm juiced about it because I feel like I put more faith in some of these like Netflix, Amazon companies to come up with something that's fresh and original. If you told me that somehow this was going to be done by 20th Century Fox or some sort of other movie company, I might sit there and be like, I would be bored because I feel like I'm going to get some Van Helsing retread. Let's throw in a big actor and have no heart. I would be less excited. But something like this in the hands of certain creators can be something very cool. Why would you not want to go back to Hobbit Town and visit it with new
I
characters?
do. I do that on what's called a Blu-ray, and I revisit it and I watch it and enjoy it. I don't know if I need to see it on my streaming service, starring younger actors or different actors in a project that's not going to have the care and attention to detail that the original project had,
Speaking of,
and not to mention budget level.
I know you're always with the 1%. You're not. You're like Nolan. I need my shit to cost 100 million, and I can't believe that Netflix is making movies for $10. Still, those are bastard versions of film. Um, so speaking of no TV series, our boy Luc Besson has said no to a Valerian TV series.
Well, I don't know if that was required, so I guess I feel like, Valerian didn't make the amount of money to justify probably any kind of future cinema stories.
The man
So
has said he's already written 2 and 3. He's got it
I
ready to
had
go
heard
into
that.
the hopper.
I don't know if we'll ever see the light of day on those, but I honestly, I had problems with Valerian. But if you want to talk about something that's visually out there and pushing the visual spectrum of what's possible in special effects and stuff, all of that stuff was gold. The story aspects in some places was a little weird. Some of the pacing was off. Uh, it wasn't a perfect movie, but as far as like doing something that doesn't look like the same thing that everything's comes out every weekend, I have to give it to him. I mean, in that way, it's very Fifth Element like.
Okay. How about we move on to Star Wars news?
Okay, I knew you were going to get there soon.
Yeah, do you feel like I feel like I need some sort of special effects? Do you still got your like Star Wars wand over there on your table? You can hit a button like that goes. Whoosh.
I don't. We don't need special effects. We're fine.
Wow, we're just stripping it down, huh? I mean, we're really just
We're doing the Blumhouse budget shows these days.
You know
So
what? We had a good run. We had a budget, but you said some offensive shit like, sexual assault is okay and it's okay for directors
really,
and the child. And all of a sudden, all our funding got pulled, and so therefore we have no special effects.
right? We're on like the PBS local cable access level now. So
We constantly get letters from the FCC that one more infraction and they're going to have to shut down this whole program. Fine.
right,
All right.
we just give it to them raw. No condoms on this show. We call this show barebacking.
You know what? I like the Blue House reference. That makes me laugh.
Okay.
Maybe I should change the title instead of the show. What's that? The show will go on to something like I don't know, Bloomhouse budget.
I don't know if anybody would get that reference, but
Okay, all right, nobody's gonna get that. So, your boy Ryan Johnson, known for such hits as Brick and Looper, and a couple episodes, great episodes on Breaking Bad, is now going to be doing after the Last Jedi. He's going to be given the keys to make a Star Wars trilogy. Am I correct in saying that?
that's correct.
So Ryan Johnson is going to be the new originator, the new creator, the big cheese, the big dog. Is it correct in what I read that Ryan Johnson? This is the way I read it, Bill. It seems
Okay.
that after what's the movie after the Last Jedi?
That's episode 9.
What's that called?
Or if you want to, it's Han Solo first, and then Episode 9.
No, not
Doesn't have a
Han
title
Solo. It's
yet.
a saga film. I'm talking the trilogy. 7, 8, 9. The Last Jedi
It's
is next.
Episode 9. There is no
title for it.
title.
So at 9, are we sort of concluding the story of Rey and Finn and Poe, and
It
then
seems like
going
it.
off a whole new trilogy, unconnected to anything else of these characters that we've had?
Well, that's one project they're working on. Now, whether they intend to do another trilogy featuring the characters we already know and love, just have someone else write and direct them, that's possible. I don't think that they've said that 9 is the end of Rey and Poe and Finn. I just think that the announcement that they made is that Rian Johnson's going to go off and do something unrelated to this trilogy and perhaps unrelated to anything else we've yet seen in Star Wars, which does not thrill me.
Call it a trilogy film? Is it going to be 7, 8, 9? Is Rian Johnson's movie going to be 10? Or is this going to be a whole separate project?
It's a whole
where
separate
it's going to be
project.
Like a one?
It's a whole separate project. It doesn't have anything to do with anything at all, including the prequels, the originals, or the sequel trilogies.
Right. They might never mention the Force. There might not be even Jedis.
I imagine that there will be Star Wars lore that is connected to the movie, or else what makes it Star Wars? I think they're not that crazy.
Well, the article that I read, it didn't seem like there was anything wed to having anything to do with Star Wars lore whatsoever.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I need a story that takes place 4,000 years in the past or 4,000 years in the future that has nothing to do with the Skywalkers. They've tried this with the current animated show that's going to be concluding with this 4th season, which started airing, I think, sometime in early September, and we're now on 8 episodes in, and I can tell you right now, I've reached the point where I so don't care that I've not even watched any of them yet.
What's the animated series you're referring to?
Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
Because the main reason I don't care is because the main characters of the show don't have anything to do with any of the characters that we've grown to care about in any of the Star Wars movies. And so I do feel like it's somewhat derivative about these characters whose story are tangentially at best tied to the film lore. And they just don't interest me. Now, is it possible that they can make some fascinating, interesting characters that don't have anything to do with the Skywalkers? Yeah, I guess that's possible. They haven't succeeded yet for me with the Rebels show. So if that's what it's going to be like, I'm not excited.
Huh. Do you think they'll start to film like a couple of these a year now? You think there will be a 7, 8, 9 to 10? And then have Rian Johnson's series start too during the same year?
I guess it would depend on what the Force or the Last Jedi box office is. I think the more people flock to that movie and, will encourage them to sort of create more and more content. They also have that channel, which they're talking about, the Disney standalone streaming service, which they're going to be doing a live action TV show with. Of Star Wars, so that's exciting. That's more exciting to me, I think, than this story, only because I know that George Lucas himself wanted to do this show a decade ago, and the amount of budget and stuff that they were going to have to use was just astronomical. Of course, because they've sort of dumped all the stuff that he was going to give them to work on the sequel trilogy, that doesn't mean that they'll use any of his material for the live-action show. But I think the idea of having some kind of unrelated character story of Star Wars fits better to me on a TV show as a concept than as a film trilogy.
Wait a second. When you're talking live action show, what are you talking about? Like a sitcom?
No, like a Battlestar Galactica reboot kind of thing. They're not using animated, they're using real actors. And it's not a comedy, it's just live. Real people.
Okay. Would you be interested in that?
I'm more interested in that than I am in some kind of unrelated trilogy that Rian Johnson's doing. Now, listen, I haven't seen Last Jedi. I have all the faith that it's going to be as great as they've sort of built it up to be. But I still would rather, if they would have announced instead of this that Rian Johnson was going to continue with another trilogy involving Rey and Poe and Finn, now that would have got me excited. Now that I would have been over the moon about. But that's not the direction he wanted to go in. So, okay.
They're making some interesting moves. Are you still okay? I mean, we haven't seen The Last Jedi. We haven't seen Han Solo. We know that we still got 9 coming here. Everything is still in the euphoric phase of successfully having launched this whole thing after The Force Awakens. I mean, are you still? I mean, they got to make their 4 billion back. So, are you happy with their moves that you're making? What you're hearing? That you knew this was going to happen? Like they're going to, they're not going to sit on these things and make a movie every 3 to 4 years. They're going to start pumping out the content. Are you still fine with that?
I'm fine with it more on the live action end of things than in the animated world, the TV shows. The animated show just doesn't do it for me. I'm tired of trying to like it. I've tried for 3 years to like it. I don't like it, and it doesn't interest me. So as far as what they've done with the animated stuff, they also have these little tiny shorts that they've released on like I think it's like YouTube, and they put it on Disney XD. They're like very short. They're like interstitials almost, called Forces of Destiny, that concentrate on the female characters throughout the saga in these little tiny like offshoot adventures. They don't do it for me either. So the TV animated stuff, I just nothing will ever be as good as the Clone Wars animated show to me, and these nothing they've yet released. The live action stuff, I'm like the rest of the world enamored with The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi is my most anticipated movie of this year. So I think they're handling the live action stuff. Rogue One was fantastic. I think they're handling the movie stuff great. I'm not a fan of the TV stuff they're doing right now.
Okay. Well, it's going to be very interesting. It's uh, it's fascinating the moves that they're going to be making.
It's certainly you can't really just say that they're just regurgitating stuff. I mean, I imagine that's probably the point of doing something that's a little left of what we already know with Ryan Johnson. And I'm sure that the way to get Ryan Johnson to come back, because I think, probably had an opportunity to continue on and do episode 9 if he would have chosen so. I think the job would have been his. I'm pretty sure they probably had to go to JJ as a backup once he rejected them. And I think he did that because he wants to tell, he's playing it smart in that, he wants to tell original stories, but he's also going to be telling it within a realm that's still box office viable. He's not the Star Wars world or universe is quite expansive, and I think he can probably get away with a lot of originality in a story that doesn't involve characters that we already know. So I think that was smart versus somebody who wants to force their style onto a template. For example, perhaps Edgar Wright was trying to do with Ant-Man, that doesn't really want to take that style organically. If Marvel was going to come out and say we're going to do some over like left of center out there in La La Land kind of story that doesn't involve any of the hero characters, then maybe that would be something more originality can handle. But as it is now, if there's a world and there's sort of rules that you sort of have to play into in order to make it viable for that world. And if you don't want to play that way, then they don't really want to have you.
Yeah, there's a lot of information. A lot of things have to be hammered out. We're not even close to being there just yet. But it'll be curious when they get to this point where they're not having it connected to certain characters that we have, whether or not the audience will be quote rabid for to me it's exactly what you're saying, like with the Lord of the Rings. You have certain characters in mind, and now all of a sudden you're going to be telling stories of people you have no basis for, like in a book or anything else, and not necessarily connected to Bilbo. Where you go in there and go, I'm okay with this whole new adventure because it just takes place in this environment that I'm familiar with, just in that sense. I don't know. I mean, you're going to do it with Game of Thrones. You know, there's a little bit more of a history on some of the things, but um, I don't know as a Star Wars fan. It better be a damn good story.
Well, I don't think Ryan Johnson's again going to go in there for just anything. I mean, he seems to be, wanting to be as creatively fresh as he can be. I mean, he's made statements about the Last Jedi, or the Last Jedi, where he said, we're not going to be doing a repeat of what we've already done. There are some unexpected things in here. So, I mean, we have yet to see it. We'll see what he brings to the table.
Okay. So there's another show coming out there that's going to Amazon. I guess I should have threw this show back over what I originally was talking about, Lord of the Rings. The
Really? You're
Boys.
yawning on the damn air. Really?
There's no yawn button.
Ugh.
I was
Go
trying
drink
to
some
find
coffee,
the words.
Grandpa.
Okay, all right. The Boys, I don't know. It's based on a comic book of some anti-heroes created by Garth Ennis. He's the guy that also did Preacher. It's going to be about this anti-hero team. It's sort of like a Watchmen type of thing, like who really watches the superheroes when they get out of control or do some nefarious shit. If they do this stuff, then the boys are called in. It's like a team of 5 led by this guy. I think the character's name is Butcher, and this crew goes in there and does some things. Now, I have about 4, probably 7 or 8 of these issues upstairs. I started collecting it.
Why
But I
did you
stopped
stop?
collecting. What's that?
Why did you stop reading it?
Why did I stop? Because it became a little bit too offensive. But it was sort of like offensive. What's the word my girl would use? Gratuitous. And I think it was designed to shock. And I
Gratuitous
think
sex, gratuitous violence, gratuitous what?
gratuitous sex, gratuitous violence, gratuitous language, all of the above and more. I mean, I'm talking, let's see here, gangbangs, oversized genitalia, I, very violent, chopping off heads type of thing. It was just over the top everything. But this
What
is
kind
what
of
Garth.
superhero story is this?
Well, I think it's more when you say superhero story is that these guys are sort of the police.
They have powers, right?
A few do.
Okay.
They do. A few do, but they use these things to take down superheroes, but they're not sitting there taking them down nicely. Like they will employ any means necessary to take them down.
Super villains or superheroes?
Well, you're calling them like superheroes, but I would call them anti-heroes. Think of them
Okay,
like
but
a
I'm
team
saying.
of, think of them like a team of Deadpools. Okay,
Okay.
they're trying to do a good thing, but while they're doing it, they're going to be like masturbating, cussing out language, and not saving homeless people who are dying on the streets. Okay, that's what
So
they're
it's like a team of Deadpools sounds like the most unappealing
doing.
show for me. It just sounds like this is not for me already, and I've not seen episode 1, but I'm certainly not looking forward to it based on this description.
Well, the odd thing about it is, I'll give it a chance, Bill.
Well, of course you will, because that's the kind of perv you are. But
I just don't know how. It seems like in this climate, there's a few scenes. I don't really want to get into it on the air. There's a few scenes that take place in the comic book that, in light of what's going on in Hollywood, seem a bit unsavory. And I just don't know if they'll go down that route, if they're trying to stay true to the comic book, or they can just create new stories with these characters. But part of it is like the series is filled with sex and violence, and all around, and the people involved, the anti-heroes as well as the heroes, are a little bit unsavory in their methods and what they do. They're flawed human beings. Now there is
which
obviously
again, we've discussed this before, sort of in my opinion, although I'm certainly not well versed in the comic book world for sure. Um, but in my understanding of it, or what draws me to these stories over and over again, is the fact that I do find some kind of inspiration and some kind of reaffirmation of the human condition in watching these stories in which people who do good things help other people. And that to me is the concept of what a superhero story is basically about. Do they all have to be superhero stories? No, but these are the stories that draw me in personally. And so it seems to me to fly in the face of the basic concept, really, that you have a group of people who are sort of bastards, and this is the same problem I have with Deadpool. You know, trying to tell a story about bad people doing bad things is not a superhero story. It's not a, I don't know. It seems to me it's just a bastardization of the entire concept, and I don't care for that.
Did you consider Watchmen to be a?
When I first saw Watchmen, I was turned off by Watchmen because of those very reasons, because it did not feel that superhero feeling. That feeling that the interview that we discussed a couple weeks back that Henry Cavill said was a disappointment about the DCEU was the feeling that when you leave it, you don't have a feeling of hope or inspiration, or that you've just seen somebody do something good. The feeling that a superhero movie should leave you with. This is why they're changing direction. Okay, this is the same thing. That's the same thing that Watchmen sort of made me feel. I like Watchmen because it does, even though it's not the superhero story I would flock to, it does offer a point of view of like a what if situation. What if superheroes were more of the
Flawed.
real world? Right. Um, it's interesting. They don't really push it that far as like, I mean, the worst thing that happens probably is Rorschach basically axe murdering a pedophile. Now, you know, that's unpleasant, but morally, you know, it doesn't feel like it's some really, I don't know, off the chain kind of thing.
It's a form of vigilance. He's a vigilante.
Vigilantism, sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it's certain degrees of what Batman does. You know, just pushing it to the extreme.
with killing the criminal. Batman doesn't kill the criminals though, but
Well, right, like I'm
well,
saying.
actually, well, actually, in the movie version, he does kill the criminal. So I mean,
Well, if you threatened my mother with a gun, I'd kill you too. So I'm not going to say I wouldn't.
okay, there you go. You're fine with this. Okay, you're fine.
I'm not saying I'm fine with it. I'm saying for Watchmen, I will make an exception because it does seem to be having a political point of view, and it does sort of say things about where we are in this world. You know, it makes a commentary, a political commentary that I don't find irrelevant. I don't know if I need to see a weekly show that has superheroes behaving like supervillains. It seems ass backwards to my particular appeal of this genre.
Bill, are you keeping? Okay, I got you. Are you keeping track of all these series that are dropping on Netflix or Amazon or Hulu?
For the most part, I mean, I think the next ones that come out next week, next Friday, Punisher debuts on Netflix, and the week after that, Runaways is on Hulu. So those are the two that I know are coming up soon. I think they just
What
started filming on Daredevil season 3. Cloak and
is there
Dagger
any?
starts early next year.
Is there anything else that interests you, or you don't really have time for some? There's like some Stranger Things knockoffs about to appear off.
Yeah, no.
Would you?
I'm not all that in love with Stranger Things, so a knockoff doesn't appeal to me. I like Stranger Things. I'm not, you know, it's not my run to show. I do hear that they're doing a kick ass show, supposedly, that Mark Millar is going to be involved in. I don't know
I'm
how I
sorry.
feel about
What
that.
what show?
Kick ass?
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about that either. Kick ass is an okay movie. It's in my collection, mostly because Matthew Vaughn directed the first one. Um, I don't love Hit Girl as a character. I think it does sort of push the limits of what's appropriate and inappropriate to show a teenage girl doing. It's more in that anti-hero vein, Deadpool kind of taste that just doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth. And I don't. I mean, I just don't. I like I said, I don't. I don't really run to Kick-Ass that much as far as like rewatchability. I just don't know if I'm all that interested in that show. I think there's something that gives me a bad feeling about, in particular, the Hit Girl character.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
How about you? Are you interested in a Kick-Ass show?
I think I'm interested in all. I mean, there's the Umbrella Academy coming to Netflix. They just cast Ellen Page. Um, I think I'm more interested in terms of who's actually producing it and what station it's on. I think that's interest of me. It provides me with like more confidence that I might be getting something new and fresh, which gets me excited, which makes me want to try it out. Like if you told me that CBS was producing something like Kick Ass, then it would be like my initial reaction would be negative, and I would need some coaxing to even turn it on. But if you attach the names Netflix and Amazon, so like Pixar with you, if you attach a certain name to it, it gives a little bit more cred to me, and it gives me an open. It opens my mind up to an opportunity of something I wouldn't consider if it was just on regular network television.
So, did you like Kick-Ass 1, Kick-Ass 2? Did you like the character of Hit Girl and what was obviously
Big Daddy.
Kick-Ass? Big
Big Daddy.
Daddy. Yeah, I mean, but if you continue on in the second one, he obviously doesn't survive. How do you feel about Hit Girl as a character?
Oh, I loved Hit Girl as a character.
That's just so
And,
creepy.
and I also like Nicolas Cage's role as Big Daddy. I found them to be very cool. It's a different take on it. It's a more foul language, a little bit more violence, but it worked for me.
Okay.
I think there's room. I think there's room in the spectrum for this type of character. So it's just that one end. Is it a room like somebody else for the casual person that wants to go to the movies and enjoy themselves? Does it really fit for what they want to see? I mean, what the one villain was their one friend. He called himself the motherfucker. That was his villain.
Right.
I mean, that's not really for all people. You know, I can only imagine sitting next to my girlfriend and the guy comes on. I'm gonna be a villain. You know what my name shall be? And they're like, what? He's gonna be motherfucker. She just look at me and roll her eyes, going, "What is this?"
Well, it's kind of it's kind of heavy into the geekdom of the culture. Sure.
yes, but it's a niche, if you ask me. It's a
Sure.
niche, and I'm okay with it. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. But you know, there's things for me like for like Deadpool. There's certain things I'm willing to accept, certain violence aspects. But like with you, there's certain things where I get kind of prudish on. Some things I feel like are a little bit over the top. Ryan Reynolds masturbating to a unicorn. I just really didn't find it to be funny. I don't know if I would say I'm completely offended by it, but I just don't find it to be cute and or funny or necessary when I want to watch my Deadpool character.
You know what I don't find cute or
He
funny?
has a scene where his girlfriend is, quote, pegging him from behind. I don't also find that for any need or use for that.
Have you
I
ever
mean,
tried
you
it?
got offended
Don't
when
knock it till you
Deadpool
try it.
and rescue the homeless guy that was shot and was screaming in the back. I mean, that's meant to be funny, obviously, but that's something that doesn't seem heroic to you or of interest. I mean, there's a lot of things within those characters that can cross a line for me. Necessarily chopping off an arm or shooting a head is not it, but certain other social things, that's not for me.
So a
In
teenage,
in that context of a superhero, that's not for me.
right? But okay, so the over-the-top violence in Deadpool and the over-the-top sexuality depictions in Deadpool are offensive to you in some way. But
Did I say? I didn't really say violence. I think it was more sexuality, to be quite honest with you.
okay, so then because
I mean, I watch a lot of violent shit, Bill. So
I understand, but I
it
don't
has
know.
to be really gratuitous for me to be sitting there going like, like it's like Saw. It's too much for me. I don't.
And so we don't think that having a prepubescent or barely pubescent teenage girl who's dressed up with a purple wig and a purple costume and shooting criminals in the face and murdering people left and right, that's maybe over the line of acceptability, though, for you.
They're bad guys, right? She's shooting bad guys, correct?
Well, sure, but she's 12.
Oh, it's okay. Sometimes you
Okay.
got to grow up fast, Bill. I mean,
Okay.
hell, you grew up fast. You were doing all sorts of shit that I wasn't aware of back when you were a kid.
Yeah, yes, I understand that, but it doesn't mean I necessarily want to see a movie. I'm not saying my behavior was super heroic or heroic of any way. And I mean, I did my stuff, but I didn't actually blow anybody's face off at point blank range. I can promise that. That seems
You're
maybe a
having with
little
the problem
much.
with the protagonist being a underage girl committing ultra violence.
Atrocious violence, over the top violence. Yes, I do. Again, she's supposed to be the good guy. Okay, anti-hero, hero, whatever. She's supposed to be on the side of the righteous. She's supposed to be righting the wrongs in the world. Okay, I don't know if beating the people to death or blowing their faces off is really the way I would call how I would want a hero to resolve the wrongs of the world, unless they were somehow in physical, imminent mortal danger, and maybe we could aim for the kneecaps. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It seems less than heroic behavior.
I think I'm open to my heroes on the what is it? The violence continuum, from using like slight fisticuffs to punching in the face to shooting. I'm cool along the whole spectrum of the heroes. I
Listen,
mean,
I'm not saying that
are you okay with Batman branding criminals in BVS? Were you okay with
yes,
him
I
doing
don't
that?
think that that's, you're not taking their life. You're not, I mean, in a way, he was sort of indirectly involved in their possibly becoming, yeah, it's because, branding them would make them targets while in prison because they would be considered, bat property or whatever have you. So, yeah, indirectly, it's not really a great heroic thing to do. So it does sort of uh, dance on a line of what's acceptable. I mean, he's not murdering them, at least not himself. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel like it
You're okay
really
with the
makes him
torture, then the
into
branding
the.
itself. You're okay with, I would consider to be torture type of thing from
I don't know
somebody
if
who.
branding somebody with a bat signal is really torture. I mean, it's not like waterboarding where you're suffocating, your lungs are filling up with water, okay?
I'm sorry. I'm going to heat up an item and press it into your skin. What does that happen? That's not. That's not an ear piercing.
Here's an idea: don't rob and pillage, and you won't get a bat stamp on your ass. Okay? I mean, there are some things that, I don't find it to be across a line of acceptability where I start to question my um, rooting value for the character
Okay.
of Batman by him branding somebody. Yeah, it's not what you would consider Super Friends Batman with the Bat computer, um, or the Adam West Batman, or even the Tim Burton Batman. Even though Tim Burton's Batman, people seem to forget, did set a clown on fire with his Batmobile. Do you remember that scene in
Oh,
Batman
because
Returns?
the Joker's clowns were behind it, and then
Yeah,
he turned.
and he turned and did a spin with the Batmobile and used the engine to just catch the clown on fire.
Yeah, we did, but it wasn't like we were sitting there like with the camera on and the crowds were going like this. Oh God, it's a hot! Oh God, let's get us on fire! It's on fire!
I mean, that is an often sort of overlooked scene as far as Batman movies go. And every time I see that scene, I feel like that's just not acceptable.
But isn't it more like a Deadpool thing where it's all tongue in cheek though? It's
I don't
supposed
think
to
it's tongue
be.
in cheek when you
You
set somebody
know
on
that the
fire.
people like they're not. This is not meant to be some sort of Saving Private Ryan moment here. This is just supposed to be like all sorts of just general violence where you actually don't see the consequences of these people being in the burn unit.
The
It's just
clown
kind of
wasn't
like,
doing anything. He wasn't like raping little boys or, involved in an immediate, like, urgent to stop him crime. He was standing there, like, juggling some fucking bowling pins, if I remember correctly. And Batman just turned his engine on and turned him to a crisp.
this sounds like Tim Burton's Batman sounds like what Marvel is nowadays.
I think that's not fair. I think Marvel would never in life, in the current iterations of their universe, have Thor set
I
somebody
know,
on
no, I
thunder.
guess what I'm saying is they don't really deal with the consequences well. They just kind of want to just like skirt around the edges and move on. And while DC is trying to would be exploring the fact is that he set these people on fire, and that maybe somehow the people he got set on fire would be filing charges in court trying to bring Batman to justice. That's what would be happening in the DC world. I mean,
That was
nowadays.
what would happen in the DC Snyderverse, which
Yes.
we have already retired. So whatever it is going to be, it's not going to be that anymore.
Tired. Shout out to Zack Snyder. We miss you.
I mean, I think there's going to be elements that are going to be left over, either from stuff they already filmed or stuff that is somewhat dancing the line of Darkness No Parents. But I don't think we're going back to that BVS world, which everything is pitch black again. I just don't think that's the way they're going to move.
Okay, we'll see. Because we'll be seeing Justice League in about 4 days.
4 days. 4 days, bitches! Hells to the yeah. Second most anticipated movie of the year. I can't wait.
By the way, what are we going to be watching for our Saturday movie?
I was thinking maybe the Ultimate Edition of BVS.
We just watched the Ultimate Edition of BVS.
That was a year ago.
It's 3 hours. We already watched it. Pick something else.
Really? How about Man of Steel? Suicide Squad?
Okay, Man of Steel. If that's some of the choices, I'm not going to go for Suicide Squad.
Yes, I know that.
That does not go into my Blu-ray player. I can tell you that right now. Not now, not ever. Man of Steel.
Don't you think the political stuff might be more appealing to your girlfriend because it's a little bit more cerebral than most of our movies that we watch? So maybe, she will bring the adulting to it a little bit.
Yeah, but I think these are the type of things that even when you bring in that aspect of it, there's still the whole idea of people wearing costumes and doing shit that's not really happening in the real world.
Listen, if you can look as fine and hot as Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck doing those costumes, I say bring it on.
Once again, I don't know if everybody's using your libido scale. I don't know if that's really it. I mean,
how can any woman with ovaries in her body, okay, see that scene with Henry Cavill strolling through the Capitol building or the courtroom or whatever and not feel a little tinge in her ovaries? I just don't believe that's possible. I just don't. I'm just saying, I don't even have ovaries, and mine tingle when that happens.
I don't know if that somehow takes it into like, you know what? I was going to give this movie a D, but now that I see that Henry Cavill strolling through to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, it just changes everything now because he's just fine. You know what? This movie gets an A.
I mean, how about that scene where he lands in Africa or whatever, and Lois is being held at gunpoint by the guy, and she gives him that nod, and he gives her that look like, yeah, baby, I got you. I mean, my ovaries just exploded. Okay? I'm just saying.
See, this is where we part ways here, because this is the scene like what BVS was it where Superman gets into the tub of water with Lois and
oh my god, I forgot all about that scene. Yeah.
The only thing I can think of, I hope that floor is sealed properly because all that water is going to be dripping into the apartment below them, and somebody's going to be hitting the upstairs with the broom going, what the fuck's going on there? I got a leak coming down the
vision to turn that water into steam in a blink of an eye. It will not even go that far. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, Superman can overflood my toilet any day of the week when he looks like Henry Cavill. Okay? And twice on Sunday.
This is, if you ever came to me and said the Academy was giving you a vote for movies, I would probably have to write a sternly worded letter and be like, they have to revoke it. They can't give it to you.
Really?
They're like, they'd be like this. Henry Cavill's not even nominated, but yet we've got some votes from Bill in Columbus.
I'm just saying, when it comes to the personification of these heroes, one thing they have got it nailed on, I don't think anyone could really argue, is the casting. They nailed it. I hope Batfleck sticks around.
I know I did see some sort of article, once again, I don't know if it's regurgitated or if it's Russian trolls, about how,
he's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about it is I really don't click on those because part of it is until there's a definitive statement, then it could just be some sort of random person just spinning some shit, or it could just be out somebody causing trouble. Like there's nothing to really hook it on to me until I feel like, there's some sort of, verification of it before I start jumping onto it going,
they've been saying Ben Affleck was out for almost a year. So who knows? I hope for more. I would say,
So is he waiting for Justice League to be a hit and then be like, you know what, my asking price is going up now that the movie's made like $900 million now. You need me. I want more cash.
I mean,
I've
that's
got an
always
ex-wife
possible.
coming up here.
I mean, I don't know. I keep hearing things about his alcoholism and his personal life that aren't. I mean, I mean, it's Us Magazine, so take it with a grain of salt. But I was in the grocery store the other day, and there was a cover story about Ben Affleck and how he, basically is back in rehab again, and he just seems to not be able to get his shit together. Now, what he doesn't do apparently is not keep his work shit together. I mean, he seems to be, from all I've read, professional. He's, when he needs to be out there working, he's there. So whatever's happening, he's got that shit. He's got a lid on that shit. So
Hmm. I wonder if they have a disgrace insurance clause in his policy, their
really,
policy.
I think Ben. Again, who knows? Why do the football players end up in situations that seem to be compromising their careers and their personal freedom? Either I don't think Ben Affleck really needs to be the kind of guy that's standing in front of people masturbating. But maybe there's not a look to that guy. I don't know. But
You know what? I think back in the day, Superfan Melissa used to make fun of you for the fact is that you wanted Harrison Ford to stop flying planes and just keep his ass on the ground and film the movie and stop doing dangerous activities that,
sure,
you know, might endanger his life as well as stop the movie production.
right.
You know, I feel this is sort of the same way right now, currently in this climate of kind of like you. I want the people to stop doing what they're doing, get paid, make the craft so I can enjoy it. But now they're just hopping all over the place. You just don't know. You don't know. It's like, these were the seeds that were laid down by Josh Trank, wrecking his Winnebago out there on the set. I mean, Josh Trank should have been filming a Star Wars film. He should have already filmed one.
Well, you know, Kathy Kennedy seems she's got the shit on lock. So if
All
she
right.
felt like he was going to be off the reservation,
Okay.
you had to get rid of him.
What else we got, Bill, as I look up Josh Trank to find out where he's at?
I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot. The story. I mean, you seem to be a little bit more on it this week than me because you knew about the wrapping of Glass, which like I said, never even heard about. Um, we talked about Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman threat.
You know something? There's nothing I see for Josh Trank.
Well, no, he's gone.
Everything ends at 2015.
Yeah, it's over. He's out. He's not even, assaulted anyone sexually, which is the quick way to get yourself out. But he's, at least we haven't heard about it yet. I'm sure that'll come out tomorrow. But, his just general insanity did him in. So,
Oh, it's fascinating. You talk about implosion. Mm.
hey, I'm sure it's a tough job. I can't think, that it might have been easy. I mean, sure, lots of people do it to more, success and stability. Taika Waititi is probably sitting on the throne of Marvel right now, but for his first directorial debut, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I've seen people avoid it. I mean, Ava DuVernay should have been doing Black Panther, if I recall.
Well, yeah, but she is doing Wrinkle in Time, and
Ugh. Okay.
I mean that's kind of a big studio film. Not, certainly not in our genre, but
Looks like crap, but whatever. Okay.
so
I
I don't
hope the
know.
kiddies go see it. I don't know about the adults going to go see that. The only way that movie is going to be successful is if the adults take their children. That's it.
Well, it is a family film, I think.
Well, then it's got a leg up on a chance for success. But outside of that, it's not going to skew for a whole bunch of other people going out there to see it. Dudes
It
are
looks
not
like
going
a
to go see it.
preteen version of Hunger Games to me, a little bit, in some ways.
So
I
it's
don't
going to be a lighthearted version of something that was kind of cool that everybody wanted to go see, where there will only be one man left standing and all these other kids have to kill themselves off. So it's going to be a lighthearted version of that. Oh, that makes me want to go see it because those are always been. Anyway, moving on.
know.
How
Moving
about
on.
we just go ahead and roll into Box Office Mojo, Bill?
That works.
All right. Ching.
Really, you just can't help yourself. You just can't do it.
I feel like there should be some sort of segue. But anyway, for the weekend ending November 10th through the 12th of 2017, the number one movie, and Bill enjoyed it very much, Thor Ragnarok, pulling in another 56 million, bringing its total gross domestically at $211 million. Its foreign gross is at 438, giving its worldwide total of $650 million after 2 weeks.
The Marvel train keeps rolling.
It
This
does,
won't be the one to derail them. Let's put it that way.
it does indeed keep rolling. Coming in at number two, Daddy's Home 2. Pulled in $30 million, also starring Mark Wahlberg again, reprising his role, as well as Will Ferrell. And it brings along Mel Gibson and John Lithgow and John Cena. So it brings in a total of $30 million. And guess how much the production budget for Daddy's Home 2 is, Bill?
I'm going to say 25 million.
It's actually $69 million.
What in the fuck?
Now, I saw Daddy's Home 1. And I don't. This is the part where you're telling me where they're paying these actors these money, because there's certainly no special effects, no green screen, as I recall, that would warrant. But $69 million.
Well, I imagine that Will Ferrell's not cheap, and neither is Mark Wahlberg, so maybe it went to actor salaries mostly.
Sure, Mel Gibson.
Well, I don't know how much Mel Gibson costs anymore. I mean, it's not like he's at the height of anything. But
That's so disrespectful.
it's not. I'm just saying,
So
he's of a
disrespectful to
certain
Mad
age.
Max.
Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly, a spring chicken. And he's had some career misfires and some bad publicity. Although he seems to have survived it and come out of it, next week we'll find out, he diddled the underage nanny and it'll all be over for him too.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like one of those things you get so high. If you do some nefarious shit, you got to start low and then really just crawl your way out of the bottom and almost be scandal free during this time to a degree.
I think there are some scandals right now, that there really is no recovery from.
Are you putting Kevin Spacey in that category?
I am. I actually think there's no possible career rehab that can actually happen for him. I think, I hope he saved up his pennies because he's going to need them.
Oh, that shit's just hardcore, man. Especially with the social media. I
Yeah.
mean, the thing about it is, for me, this is a personal thing, and I know this is kind of mean here. If I don't like you, or for some reason, then all of a sudden I'm more apt to believe the allegations going like this. Of course, he looks all seedy, and I kind of knew this anyway, and it just fits my perception of that person. But woe to the person who actually didn't do something. It's hard to wash out this stink.
Yeah, it's impossible.
I'm looking at
I
you
mean,
more and more.
When you get to the numbers of like 12 or 13 or 14 people, it just becomes defying believability for people.
Okay, now here's a movie that I was on the fence as to I wasn't really sure how this would find an audience or who might be interested. But Murder on the Orient Express came in its debut week and pulled in 28 million. It lost out to Daddy's Home 2 by 2 million, but still pulled in 28 million. But technically, it also pulled in 57 million in the foreign box office for a total of 85 million on a budget of 55 million. So it's not a bad first week, I would guess.
What number did it come in? 4?
Number 3.
Okay, I mean, I don't know if it only cost 50.
Johnny Depp, Kenneth Branagh, Michelle Pfeiffer, Daisy Ridley, Judi Dench.
There's a lot of people in there for that budget to be that small, I would say.
It's got a lot of actors in it.
I'm kind of surprised the budget was that small with all the people that are in it. Maybe people took like pay cuts or something to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, sort of like an Ocean's 11 type of thing going on
Right.
here. Were you interested in this film?
No, not really.
Okay. Not because just the original Murder on the Orient Express, the actors, it just the material doesn't seem.
What are my criteria? Is it animated? Is there music in it? Is it a superhero story? I kind of stick to my genres.
I gotcha. I mean, Number
Or is there
four.
a director in it that's done some shit I liked?
Yeah. Number
Isn't
4.
Kenneth Branagh the director of it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not in love with his stuff.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Number 4. In its second week of release, A Bad Mom's Christmas.
I'm
It
kind of
pulls in
surprised it was
another
that
11.
low.
What's that?
I'm kind of surprised it was that low. The first one was kind of a hit.
Yeah, well, it brought in another $11 million, bringing its total worldwide to 46 million bucks on a budget of 28.
Well, that's decent money. At least they made their money back.
Yeah, whatever. Keeps
Maybe there'll be
everybody.
a Bad Mom's Halloween.
And number 5, Jigsaw, bringing in another $3 million in its third week on a budget of 10 million, bringing its total to $79 million.
Hmm.
Looks like somebody made their money back.
Hard not to. When your
All right,
budget's
well,
that low.
I don't know if this is really a hit for Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry's Boo 2.
Yeah.
It's got like $45 million on a budget of 25 million.
I mean, they made their money back. I mean, now is it? I don't know what Boo #1 made, so maybe it's a smaller level of hit for Tyler Perry than he's usually having.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else that was premiering? Nope, nope, nope. Nope. So, Bill, are we excited for Justice League 2 and then follow up Justice League 1, followed by The Last Jedi?
I am. We're getting into the most awaited movies of the year for me. Both of these are #1 and #2 respectively. So this is like the payoff I've been waiting all year for. So I am. I'm actually super excited about both of them.
I'm excited for the Justice League because after watching Thor, I think that this is exactly the bookend I need for my superhero movies ending 2017.
Okay.
The Last Jedi, I'm excited based on watching the trailers as to where the story is going to go, and I actually have no idea where it's going to happen. I really don't. I don't know who's going to be turning bad or evil or who's doing what or where or what. I am completely in the dark and have no idea what to predict, which is what I want. I have no idea where this is headed.
Well, I think
So,
that's kind of by design, and I certainly hope that we're able to continue that all the way through to the premiere of the movie, which is about a month
do we
month
even
and a
know
week
who
away.
Snoke is? Is Snoke just an original character, or do we have any idea who Snoke is yet?
We don't yet.
Okay, so it's
We
still
don't know
under
who Rey's.
wraps, still a lot of
We don't.
theories, but nothing's holding water.
Right. We still don't know who Rey's parents are. There's a lot. We don't know exactly what went down between Kylo Ren and Luke. There's a lot of questions. We don't
It's gonna be a,
know. What's going to end up happening to Leia.
it's gonna be a big movie. How many hours and minutes is that show movie
I
going
don't
to
think
be?
that they have released the runtime yet.
Okay. Any word on the Civil War trailer?
The Infinity War
Infinity
trailer.
War trailer, yes.
I would expect it will probably drop with The Force, The Last Jedi. I imagine it's a
Ugh.
Disney movie, so that's probably the biggest movie Disney will have this year. So it makes sense that they would put it with that movie.
I mean, honestly, if they wanted me to go to Comic Con, this is a good way to shit. This is a good way to get me to go here. If they're going to show a trailer sometime back in June and then not release it till 7 months later, it might be worth my $20. I can tell you that.
Well, hopefully it will be soon because I'm getting a little tired of waiting on it, honestly. There doesn't seem to be any real logical reason why they're making us wait, other than perhaps they don't want to take the focus off of all the attention off of The Force Awakens before it's released by releasing the Infinity War trailer. And also, don't forget, in 6 months, basically 7 months, we're going to get another Star Wars movie, which we've heard zero about. Of course, Ron Howard just finished filming it like 2 days ago. So,
All right. Bill, I'm a little bit tired.
You sound like you're a little tired.
I feel like I'm some sort of hungry or something's going on. I don't know what's happening. I do have the dogs up here in the studio, and Carlos got a fleece blanket over here,
Yeah.
and these dogs love this fleece. I can tell you this right now.
Really?
I put it anywhere. I put it on my bed. I put it on the floor next to me, and they dig right into it. It's almost like they were sleeping on like a bed of rock blankets or something I have. Because this here, I just put it down and they gravitate right towards it. It must be like 1,000. What is it?
Thread
One
count.
thousand. Yes. Um,
Um, did you ever get to
they're
the
all,
bottom of what was going on with Scooties? Did you call the vet this week?
nope. Did not.
Okay.
Did
That
not
was
call
nice.
the vet. He's cut down on the licking. I'm assuming it was an allergy, and the winter, the cold weather is knocking that shit right out. That's what I call patience.
Nice. Meanwhile, he's licked all the fur off of certain spots of his body, but hey, there's nothing left to lick. That's why he stopped licking.
Yeah, but I guess I will maybe be getting their haircuts because, even when my woman who looks at them and she just starts going like, "Oh, looks like they could use a haircut, huh?" A haircut and a bath.
Yeah, that would both be nice. Why don't you do that before I come down? I like
I
to see
know
the
that would
dogs
be
nice and
nice. I
trimmed.
don't know if that's going to happen before you get here, but
You got a whole week.
I'm a busy
Well,
man.
4 days.
4 days. 4 days. Oh,
So, Thursday at 7, and then Friday at 7. We're good with those
that's
times.
what it looks like, man. That's going to be
All right.
perfect. That's absolutely perfect there.
And
then
then Saturday we get to see a play,
the movie's
so that's
only 2
exciting.
hours.
A musical, which is right in my alley, right up my alley.
Yes. My Chris went and saw Wicked with her
Oh,
daughter.
it was, yeah. How did they like it?
Oh, she said she loved it.
See, that's cool.
She had very good seats, and she thought it was a magnificent production.
All
She said
right.
there was some sort of lady towards the end when it was the climax came up. Like she started standing and throwing her arms into the air to the music.
Really?
She was really into it. And the first thing I thought was, I don't expect you to be doing that. Okay,
Do
so
we know who's playing the characters in the touring company at
I
this
do not.
point? Is there anyone like really famous? Okay.
I do not. I guess
Okay.
I know that? Should I be
Well,
aware
you
of
could
it?
look it up. It'd probably be easy to find out.
Yeah, I'm not aware. I'm not aware.
Okay.
Are you going to be dressing up, or are you just going to
I
be
I,
wearing?
I will. I don't think theater attire is t-shirt material.
I guess so. You know, the one time I went to a concert and everybody else was like dressed up, and I was wearing jean pants and a jean shirt. Um, you talk about sticking out like a sore thumb.
Jean pants and a jean shirt. That's just like
Yeah, that
that's
was
a
like
fashion disaster regardless.
I think it was back in like 1989 or something,
Okay.
1990. That's when I was wearing that outfit. Like that was my go-to wear: jean shirt and jean pants.
Right.
I don't know what the shoe wear was, but obviously it was a hot mess. Ugh. Anyway, Bill, I think I
Anyway.
have to go get some foods with some sort of vitamins in them. I'm feeling
Yeah, it
kind of
sounds like it. Why don't you take some kind of like, I don't know, pep pills or something? You need to fucking wake up over
yeah,
there.
that sounds like a good idea. Well, it's been a pleasure doing the show with you. We're under
You
two
too?
hours, which is
Well,
always
that's
a
a
pleasure to everybody around.
absolutely. We didn't do a Thor review, by the way.
What's that?
We didn't actually do a Thor review.
I know. I felt like it would be. We can't do it now. It's just too long.
Really? Okay.
It's just too long, Bill. How about you just give me
How about
your
I give you my Thor capsule review? It's my second favorite Thor movie. I enjoyed it more than Thor 1, maybe slightly less than Thor 2. I think there was a lot to love about the movie. There was a lot of cool interaction between Hulk and Thor. I like Tessa Thompson as an addition to the new team. Loki is all up in there. My favorite part, my favorite new character is Hela. I think Kate Blanchett rocked the hell out of that part, and I think she's probably my favorite Marvel villain yet. And it makes me hope that they put Thanos and her together and team them up in Infinity War, either 1 or 2, because I think that would be really freaking awesome. Some of the attempts at humor were a little much for me. I think that the humor was probably maybe 10% too much. And other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Payne's review in a couple sentences. It was too silly for me, and I hated it.
You didn't hate it. Stop! You did not hate it. I don't believe you hated it. I think you might have preferred it to be less humorous in some places, sure. But hate is such a strong word, Jay. Do you hate it more than 90% of the shit that you pump out of Netflix that you have to watch?
In all fairness, you're absolutely right. I watch a lot of crap, and it's not really at the bottom. But if I have to put it in a superhero universe, it's probably my least favorite of the superhero movies, of the modern day superhero films. It's way too silly for me. Even if I did laugh at one joke out of 50, it's not what I really want from my characters. And not to mention, Thor goes from being Chris Hemsworth can act and he can embrace the role as like a Chris Pratt does in Guardians of the Galaxy. There's no problem with the acting and or the characters. I just don't like how they were portrayed. I just don't like a silly storyline. That's just not what I prefer. I prefer more of a Dark Knight Returns, more of a DC slant on things at this point in time. And not to mention, I think Guardians of the Galaxy has that area on lock, and I accept it for Guardians of the Galaxy, and I welcome it, and I'm fine with it. I don't know if I want that to be in every Marvel movie.
Well, I don't think you're going to have to worry about Black Panther because that movie looks like the no fun zone.
You keep saying that, but I mean, I don't. You're saying that. I just don't know.
From what we've seen in the trailers, it looks like it's one of the Marvel movies that's taking itself very seriously. Marvel, as we've discussed, has sort of two gears. One is sort of fun, out there, campy, good time. And the other one is sort of like it's not Darkness No Parents level, but they're very literal and they're taking themselves very seriously. And it seems like Black Panther falls into the very serious camp for me from the trailers.
Here's your favorite line. Don't freeze.
I never freeze. Oh boy.
I figured you would like that. If Joss Whedon wrote that line, you'd be all over it. You'd be walking around the house going, I never freeze.
Maybe if somebody that had more than like a dishwater personality said it, if Thor said it, then I probably would like it. Because Thor's cheeky like that. Or Ant-Man's cheeky like that. Or even Tony Stark is cheeky like that. But for Black Panther, who basically tastes like the most vanilla version of chocolate man you've ever seen, wow, that was kind of rich for me to put out there. But in any case, I just don't feel it from him. I don't feel like the kind of like cool hipness superhero vibe. I feel like he's kind of stayed and stuck up and a little bit boring. Maybe they'll change that in the movie, but from what I've seen of the character so far, including in Civil War, I'm not feeling it with the Black Panther.
I'm half tempted to make the show title, I Never Freeze. You know what? That's going to be the title when we do the Black Panther review, which we will. That's going to be
sure.
The title
Of course, we'll do a Black Panther review, but we can skip over the Thor review like it hardly existed.
Are you saying there's some sort of racial bias I'm going here?
I'm saying it's not the most unbelievable thing I've ever said.
We've gone 2 hours, and so what we will do, though, we'll make sure we do a Justice League review, though.
Okay, that's fair. And I don't want to brush past it in like 5 minutes at the end of the show either.
Oh, no. I'm going to give you your time because I'm sure you're going to have some sort of like, I think we should do pros and cons. I'm sure. You know what? I just want to get a pipeline into Carlos as he's pulling out his hair going, God damn it. You're going to be like this. You know what I really liked? I really liked the Aquaman costume. I think they might have used real gold scales or something with some sort of lycra. I like it. That's what
I have something to say as a general note to our listeners, and this isn't to be somewhat harsh or whatever, but listen, if you don't like what I'm saying, or you feel like what I'm doing is going on too long, or it's just, it's just too wordy, or what he's saying is just too wordy, or he's just not, the fast forward button is for you. Use it.
I don't know if insulting our fans are.
I'm not insulting them.
I
I'm
don't know if
saying
that's a strong PR move for us. I just don't know if we're there. I don't
I'm
know.
all I'm saying is we are who we are. We do what we do. It's not for everybody. That's absolutely true. This is why we have our production company's title as Empty Room Productions LLC.
Do you think if I said our fans listen, if PCP shot people in the streets, our fans would still stick with us? I don't know if they're like that. I don't know if they roll hard.
They might
Roll
not
deep.
be. They might not roll hard. And you know what? They got to do what they got to do. But our shit is our shit, and that's all I have to say about that.
Listen, you've said some shit to where I don't know if I'm rolling with you on it. So I can't.
But what I'm not doing is changing because you might not particularly agree with it. And I don't expect you to do it either because I don't particularly agree with it. We are our thing,
I got
and
you,
that's
Bill.
what we will continue to always be.
I feel you. I feel you. Okay, we're wrapping it up here because I wanted under 2 hours when we did this, and it seems like we actually had no technical difficulties. Shout out to Spectrum. I give the finger to AT&T, who still tried to keep my business and failed because they can't just offer me. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going down this path again. If you're going to be operating a business and providing the service, I'm willing to pay you what the service is worth. What I will not do is I will hate to have to adjust every time because there's some sort of price hike or there's a discount. I can't fluctuate, Bill. Provide me a service and I will pay it. Do not provide me a fluctuating thing. With that one moment it's 125 and then the next month it's 180 and I have to call in. If I have to call you every other month, it's a problem. Which
Duly
is why
noted.
Netflix and Amazon have my business. I pay them a fee, they provide me with a great service, and we are both happy.
Until they start a la carting all of their TV shows because the hits are costing them more than the losers. And then when, Stranger Things season 7 comes out and they've got everybody behind the 8 ball because everybody wants to watch Stranger Things, and they go, well, Stranger Things is going to include a Netflix upcharge. Then we'll see how you feel about Netflix.
I can't even believe you would put that out in the universe. Is that something that they're even considering?
I don't think so, but I mean, their business
what?
model has to make money somehow.
You know what? If we get to that point, then I hope they have a hotline because I'm going to say it like this: there's an unauthorized user of my Netflix account down in Columbus.
That's not very nice.
If you try to sue him and get some of that back money, that might actually I should be able to get a discount. You know what? If I could get a discount on my service for turning people in who are using my Netflix, I would. I'm sure I have to sign some sort of statement that I didn't give you permission to begin with. But I mean, I might be willing to do that.
Fair enough.
All right. Anyway, we're wrapping it up, Bill.
All right.
So I enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy
Certainly.
birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tomorrow is my husband's birthday, and Wednesday is your birthday. So it's birthday week over here.
God, we're so fucking old, man. We're getting old.
I like being old.
You do? Okay. What are you, distinguished?
No, it's wise. That's what it is.
Is that what we're every time you say some shit during the movies, I'm like, I don't know if this is wisdom. I feel like it's like you're getting something else. I feel it's not wisdom.
Right. Okay.
But I've been your co-host Payne on this episode 56.
I'm Bill.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.